Hey guys, my name is Mike Smith. I'm the owner of GMH Get More Hair, and here's the 5 things that you need to know about Micro Sapphire DHI.
This is GMH, Get More Hair, yes, we're coming first place. King of the cosmetic surgery team, get your hair transplant, man, don't worry about it.
Hey guys, Mike Smith here, and the first thing that I want to talk to you about today is Micro Sapphire DHI. Is it the same as FUE? Now that's a question that we get asked, or I get asked a hell of a lot, and it's not really a question that makes sense because DHI and FUE completely two different things. So FUE is the form of extraction. When we take the hair follicles out of the back of your head and the nape area or the beard area, we're using a micromotor punch and we're extracting the follicular unit via the FUE method. Okay, DHI refers to the method that is used to reimplant the hair follicles. So when guys say to me, is it FUE or is it DHI and what's the difference? The correct answer is, of course it's FUE, but it's also DHI. We call it Micro Sapphire DHI, but really we should call it Micro Sapphire DHI FUE or FUE Micro Sapphire DHI, but that's quite a mouthful. What a lot of guys are asking about is the older surgery, the old-fashioned surgery, which is a forceps implantation and opening the channels with, you'll see a surgeon with a pair of scissors with a little sliver of steel, surgical steel in it, or maybe they'll clamp it onto something. This is what a lot of guys talk about, and a lot of guys think that this is the old. They say, "Oh, is this FUE?" That's forceps implantation. So DHI refers to the method that we reimplant the hair follicles into your head. So the second thing that you need to know about Micro Sapphire DHI is, what's the micro all about? What's Micro Sapphire? I've heard the term sapphire blades. But what's a micro sapphire blade and what is a sapphire blade? So when you're having the surgery, it's performed fundamentally in 3 parts: extractions, channel opening, and then reimplantation. That's basically, aside from the anaesthetic and all the other stuff, they're the 3 major parts of the physical surgery. So the sapphire part of it refers to the blade that is used. It's a sapphire blade. Okay, now sapphire is a good material to make very sharp blades, and so nowadays a lot of the industry will use a sapphire blade. And the good thing about these blades is that whereas the older blades, the surgical steel blades, were shaped as a rectangle, so for example they look like a mobile phone, that sort of shape going into your head, these new blades are shaped like a little arrow. Okay, so basically when it goes into your head, because it goes in and then there's a point there, these 2 little tiny pieces at the corner, whereas you would have traditionally with the surgical steel blade, okay, you won't have that impact. Now it's a minuscule amount of impact, but when you're having 3,500, 4,000, 5,500 in a mega session, that's a lot of tiny amounts of savings that you're giving your body in terms of the impact that it's having on your physical body. So it's much better for you. Now with regards to the micro side of it, they use an even smaller blade. So you've got sapphire blades, and then there's a different category called micro sapphire blades, tiny little blades. And the reason they can be so tiny is because we don't need to open such a massive channel like we used to when we was reimplanting with the forceps. When you reimplant with the forceps, you're trying to get that follicular unit to the bottom of the capillary in the little channel that the surgeon or the senior nurse has opened. Okay, you're trying to get it down there, and with a little pair of forceps or like tweezers, it's quite tricky. So you want a slightly larger channel. Now with the DHI reimplantation method, they put the hair follicle into an implanter pen like a little syringe, so the channel doesn't have to be as big. So we use a tiny little blade to open a tiny little channel, and then the hair follicle will be placed in that tiny little channel with a very low impact on your head, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so the third thing that you need to know about Micro Sapphire DHI is the Implant Pen. What's that all about? People ring us up, is it a Choi pen, is it this pen, is it that pen, and do you use it? Well, it's not DHI, because DHI is you use the pen to extract, and we get guys ringing us up who are quite informed, but not so informed about the methods that we're using. So let me explain. With traditional DHI, okay, they will use an implant pen, and they will use this pen to go into the donut area. They'll select a hair follicle. It will clamp down on that hair follicle. They'll extract that hair follicle, okay, and then they will keep it in the pen, go to the top of the head, push it into the capillary, so open a channel, and then release the hair follicle. This is classic DHI. Now, this is excellent if you're having a very low number of grafts. So if you're a celebrity and you want to build up your hair over the course of 2 or 3 years, and you don't mind going to a surgeon that's going to charge you arguably a lot of money to do a tiny amount of work. But if you're going, I don't know, once every 10 months and having a very small amount of work done, this is excellent, because there's certain things that they can do, and they can make it look like these guys have not had anything done. And indeed, you look at some celebrities, Alan Carr for example, his hair loss has gone back, frozen in time, completely stopped. Graham Norton is another guy, frozen in time. You know, other celebrities you can look at and think, well, your hair hasn't moved. And what they're probably doing is a combination of probably finasteride, anti-hair loss medication, natural products, and very small, tiny, unnoticeable surgeries over a period of years. Now, the way that we do the surgery is we will use the Implant Pen for the sole application of reimplanting the hair follicle into your head. So what's happened is the hair follicles have been extracted using the micromotor punch, FUE style, follicular unit extraction. Then the surgeon is coming in with a micro sapphire blade, okay, and opening the channels, making the tiny little incisions. And then we're using the Implant Pen exclusively to take the hair follicle, load it into an Implant Pen, and it goes into the channel. They expand, release, and there you go, Micro Sapphire DHI. Now, that is a fantastic way of doing a hair transplant, in our opinion, and the results are spectacular. Okay, so the fourth thing you need to know about Micro Sapphire DHI is, what is the Implant Pen? Why is it so good? Why will you use it for this particular application? Well, think of it like this, guys. You have a fresh piece of soil. You've got a carrot, a Bugs Bunny carrot. You've poked it into this piece of soil. Now you have this little tiny hole, or a channel, shall we say, for our argument's sake. We have a small snake or a slow worm, use your imagination, and we're trying to put that into the channel head first. Okay, so we've got two options. We've got a pair of chopsticks, i.e. Forceps, or a giant pair of tweezers. Okay, now as we try and put that down into that channel, sometimes the little worm's head or the hair follicle bulb can get damaged or caught or disturbed in any way. It's having an impact on that hair follicle and on your head going down. And if you watch one of our videos, if you watch the video with Dr. Akar, you will see in some of the video how the head in slow motion is quite, you know, it's quite messed around with, to be honest with you, with the forceps. Now, the application of the Implant Pen is really one that is fantastic, because if you think about it now, if we got that worm, that slow worm, or that small snake, and we put him into a giant straw, when he's in that straw, nothing's going to hurt him because he's protected by that straw. If we took that straw and we held him in it and we put it into that hole or that channel, it's not going to get damaged on the way down, and there's going to be a lot less pull on the skin, because you're going into a channel with a syringe. So the channel's already been opened, so now you're just slipping into that channel. The hair follicle is kept in that Implant Pen, and it's got that 360-degree protection. It goes down, they naturally can feel where the capillary is, where the bottom of the channel is. They push the button, it expands the device, and there you go. Now, it is slightly slower, so you can't do as many grafts as you could do with the forceps implantation, but you've got a much higher graft survival. and this is fantastic. Your head is taking less of a pounding, so the healing is quicker, the results are quicker, and what we see is faster results. Okay, less damage to the head, which means less healing needs to be done, which means the hair follicle has a much higher chance of surviving, and it's not been damaged on the way in. So this is why we use the Implant Pen in that application, and we don't use it to take out or to open a channel. If you're taking it out the Implant Pen, it's very slow, it's going to take a long time, you won't be able to extract the high graft numbers. If you're using the Implant Pen to open the channel, well, it's not as sharp as a sapphire blade, and if you think about it, if you're going from the back, taking quite a time to get that follicle out, and then selecting an area and then going in to the head opening a channel, there's no continuity. When you see a surgeon, if you watch some of our videos, you'll see he's got this sort of motion, and they get into a flow because they're trying to visualize and build up how the hair's going to grow out of your head. And so this is why it is used in the application that it is used for. So here is the 5th thing that you need to know about Micro Sapphire DHI. The process. What's the process? How does it all work? So let's start at the beginning. You'll go in and you'll have your consultation, the hairline will be designed, and the surgery will be planned. Okay, once there's a surgical plan for your particular situation, you'll then be given Xanax, antibiotics, and you'll be made to feel very comfortable. You'll be laid face down on the surgical table, and the nurses will start with the anaesthetic. So they will anaesthetise your head, so it's completely numb, the whole donor area, and then they will start to prepare your head. And once your head is fully prepared, they will then start to do the extractions. Now, one nurse will use a micromotor punch. The punch size, a lot of people ask us about punch sizes, it will be bespoke to your hair follicle. Everybody has different thickness hair follicles, okay, as you can imagine. Some fine hair, some thick hair, some really tight curly hair, loose curly hair. So everyone has different hair follicles, so the punch will be selected. That will be bespoke to your hair follicle. One nurse will use the punch to punch selected hair follicles in your donor area, and then the other nurse will come in with a set of forceps, and they will extract the hair follicles out of the head, and they'll be put onto a surgical gauze in a petri dish, and then eventually, once you've been fully harvested, they'll be taken under microscopic conditions at one of our stations and separated up into the different groups. So you have your multiples, your doubles, your single hairs, and then your regraded single hairs, which will be your baby hairs for the very front hairline. So then that's the first part of the surgery done. The second part of the surgery is the channel opening. Now this is when we use the Micro Sapphire blade. So depending on the package, you'll either have a senior nurse, one of our fantastic senior nurses with many years experience at Cosmetica, or you'll have the doctor. Okay, that will be what you'll choose. Now this part will take, in my experience, around 45 minutes to an hour and 20, somewhere around that kind of figure. Okay, and what they will do is they'll use the Micro Sapphire blade to go into your head. They'll have measured your hair follicle against the blade. They'll know how far to go into your head to reach the capillary, and they'll open the hair channels. And this will determine the depth and the angle that the hair follicle will eventually grow out of your head. So the final part of the surgery is reimplanting the hair follicles into your head using the DHI implanter. So they will take the hair follicles typically from the back of their hand, they'll load them into the pen, they'll go into the channel, they'll press the little button at the end of the device, and this will expand the tip of the DHI implanter pen. It will release the hair follicle, and there you go. So that's the process. FUE extraction, like we've discussed. Okay, opening the channels using a Micro Sapphire blade, which we feel is the best. Okay, and then reimplanting with the implanter pen to give you the best hair transplant that you could ever hope for. Well, look guys, thanks very much for watching the video. I'd love it if you liked, shared and subscribed. I know it's a big ask, so if you just like it and subscribe it, I'll be well happy with that. Until next time, tell me what you think in the comments below, and if you have any suggestions for any other videos, just let me know. You can email us, info@getmorehair.co.uk, and of course you can check out our website, getmorehair.co.uk, and our fantastic Instagram account. Until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy yourself, and just get more hair.
This is GMH, get more hair, yes, we're coming first place. King of the cosmetic surgery team, get your hair transplant, man, don't worry about it.